And what's happening on social media so often is it's just malicious. And it comes, as I think you said in your opening statement, from across the political spectrum. We need to all condemn it. Let me ask you a question. If somebody came up to you privately, quietly, and said, you're a racist, you're a white supremacist.
An important question is raised here about the responsibility in making such accusations. Accusations of racism or extremism are serious allegations that should be based on facts, not speculation. What do you think are the consequences if such accusations are made without a proper basis?
You're a white nationalist. By the way, I do not believe you are. I would never assume that because, certainly growing up, when I was being taught the commandment that says, do not bear false witness, my Lutheran catechism says, always put the best construction on things. In other words, always assume the best about people, not the worst. So, how would you feel if somebody just privately called you a racist?
First of all, I would say they're wrong. Second of all, I would disagree with them. And as I said earlier, but I want to reiterate that even in my critiques of people, I'm very careful never to ascribe to the person.
Well, I thought, I heard that. I thought that was interesting. You say you never criticize the person, but that's not true. What you just testified there is false. Because not only did you go on, first of all, you don't know me. You don't know a lot of the people that you have accused online in front of millions of people. You have engaged in the malicious poison. You've accused people you don't know of very vile things.
The issue of bias and neutrality in social media generates a lot of discussion. Often statements take on a polemical tone, which undermines the credibility of public personalities and organizations. Do you think responsible persons should refrain from making such statements on a platform where every word instantly spreads around the world?
I mean, wouldn't you agree that probably calling somebody a racist is just under murderer and rapist? Calling somebody a racist? Is that about as serious and vile accusation as you can hurl against somebody you don't even know?
Freedom of speech is a fundamental principle, but public statements on social media should be handled responsibly. Criticism of opponents becomes serious when it takes the form of accusations that can affect their reputation and future career. Where do you think the line between freedom of speech and ethical standards of public statements lies?
I mean, you've never talked to me. You've never met me. You don't know what's in my heart, do you?
No, I have no idea no, I do not know what's in your heart at all. I know what...
So why would you go on social media and make those charges? And not only me, and by the way, what Senator Rubio said, this position is supposed to be for a nonpartisan. It seems like how you engage in malicious poison is purely partisan. You're hurling these charges against people that are generally one political persuasion. That's not nonpartisan. But again, why did you go on social media and level these vile and horrible charges against people, including me, that you don't even know? You didn't know anything about the Joseph Project. You didn't know about what's in my heart. Why did you do it?
Well, first of all, I don't think, as far as I can tell, and I'm happy to have this conversation further or right here, call you personally, or I don't call people personally.
No, we all know the tweet. It's right here.
Right.
Okay?
I know.
You said it's pure and simple. Pure and simple. White supremacy, nationalism. And then you referred to articles that continue the charge. Do you feel bad about that at all? I mean, do you retract that? I mean, what's your current position on this?
Can we allow the witness to answer your questions?
As I said earlier, it was not nuanced. I would not do diplomacy by tweet. While I may disagree with what you said specifically, and I think that's a legitimate difference, I certainly did not mean it, and I'm sorry if it was taken, and I'm sorry if I made it in a way that it could be assumed to be a political at the person personally.
Well, listen, I appreciate your apology, and I'll accept your apology. It's more than, for example, what the chairman of this committee has done, and other members who've also, callously and cavalierly hurled those same charges that I would consider are malicious poison to our body politic today. But again, appreciate the apology, but I think somebody that has had a 30-year professional career ought to know better. And when you're being nominated and considered for confirmation to a position of diplomacy representing the United States, I certainly cannot support your nomination. I hope my other colleagues won't either. You're just simply not qualified for it. But
The positions of diplomats require a high degree of responsibility and caution in expressing opinions. Words spoken on behalf of a country can affect international relations and the perception of the state. Do you agree that diplomatic representatives should be particularly careful about their public statements?
I wish you the best in life, and I do accept your apology.
Senator Van Hollen is next.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Congratulations to all of you on your nominations.
Mr. Patel, are you part of an organization that uses market power for censorship?
No, sir.
And how much advertising capital do you deploy annually?
How much marketing investment do we spend?
Yeah.
850 million a year.
And you spend, you said, less than 1% of that in the news area, right?
Yes, sir.
And that's because, really, your brands don't want to be involved in these caustic news disputes or political disputes. They want to be apolitical in the presentation of their brand.
Today, as global companies strive to remain neutral, the question arises, is it practically possible to stay out of politics? Some believe that big brands play a crucial role in shaping public opinion. Do you think companies should try to avoid political favors, or is it an inevitable part of their job?
Am I understanding that testimony correctly?
So we serve 90% of American households with our portfolio.
It's a fascinating answer, just not to my question. Is the reason you de-emphasize news because you want to be apolitical?
We target our investment to address the consumers that buy our brands.
Okay, are you doing so for political reasons or apolitical reasons?
We don't do it for any political reason.
Okay, so then why are the vice presidents of your company trying to shape the way Facebook limits view of a Trump advertisement?
So I'm not sure what the intention of that communication was, but that's
I do. It was to get the Trump ad taken down. It's pretty clear. You had two vice presidents, Rob Master and Luis DeComo, who were pressuring Facebook to utilize Facebook's policies to take down a Trump ad. So it's just hard to believe that your goal is to avoid politics when not some intern at your company, but the vice presidents at Unilever are writing Facebook saying, we want you to take this Trump ad down and apply these policies to do it.
So I'm not sure what the intention of communication was, but
okay, I'll tell you what, I'll read you the communication. It's 2 words. It's your vice president to GARM when they were trying to get the Facebook ad taken out. It said, honestly reprehensible. So you're using this $800 million plus power that you have over the marketplace. Facebook is craving your advertising dollars. And you have 2 vice presidents hammering Facebook to take down a Trump ad about whether or not Joe Biden should have his ear inspected for an earpiece. That was what the ad was about, that you all found so reprehensible.
So respectfully, I'm not sure that word was done by a Unilever person.
You're okay. So Mr. DeComo didn't work for Unilever?
He sits on the. If I did my homework right, I think that came from the GARM, Rob.
Oh, Rob Rankowitz. Yes. But you are member entities to GARM. You pay GARM. You guys are GARM. I mean, as Mr. Jewell said, you guys you have to have tools in order to help you place your ads. So you go fund GARM, and then here your vice presidents are commiserating with GARM over the fact that Facebook won't remove this. I guess, Mr. Shapiro, when we look at these big advertising platforms and they're hearing the people with the advertising dollars hammer them with this ideological tilt, what what does that do to the marketplace for ideas?
Obviously, it shuts down the marketplace of ideas, which is largely the intent. And one of the things that I've heard from some of the Democratic members of the committee today is an extraordinary amount of projection wherein they suggest that Republican members of the committee are trying to shut down free speech by trying to get answers to questions about the kind of political pressures that are being put on social media companies, for example. But it's been Democrats who, for years, have been spending their time trying to pressure social media companies into doing their bidding by limiting the types of information that are available to the public and how that information is actually distributed. One of the things that's worth noting here is that it's not just a matter of advertising dollars flowing. The way that it works on social media is that if you are demonetized, then the reach of your actual content is also limited by the same social media companies.
Do you think the frequency of those demonetization rises when you have vice presidents of companies at Unilever trying to hammer entities like Facebook into taking down Trump ads?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's no question that when you have internal pressures put on social media companies to take down right-wing material, that has an impact on the reach of right-wing messaging. There's just no question.
The problem of transparency and access to truthful information is a major issue in the era of digital platforms. If big companies are able to influence the agenda by restricting access to certain points of view, doesn't this undermine the democratic foundations of society? What do you think can be done to preserve freedom of opinion?
And I guess I don't mind when Democrats say they don't like conservative speech, or we get to say we don't like some of their speech. That's how this works. But it's when the business community colludes and utilizes market power to shape the way social media companies or websites disseminate information, that the public doesn't even get to see that debate and engage it. And I think the fact that it's clandestine is actually even more corrosive to the values that undergird.
That's absolutely true. The complete lack of transparency with which GARM treats both the member companies as well as the consuming public is one of the major problems.
The issue of ethics in information management is important when it comes to the right to free expression. If big companies actively interfere in the dissemination of information, it raises the question of their true intentions. Do you agree that information platforms should adhere to strict standards of neutrality and ethics in their operations?
If they simply wish to levy a boycott against a right-wing source, they should simply say that's what they're doing. Hiding behind fake standards in order to project objectivity is a major problem in transparency for the market.
Okay, Lee Anderson.
Thanks, Chair. There's just a couple of quick questions, please, for Councillor Rebecca Knox. I think you was in agreement that your force was institutionally racist. Is that correct?
I agreed with the report, the independent report, and so did the Chief Fire Officer accept the findings. Okay, so
could you please tell me, Councillor, what unfair advantages white people have in your force?
I would hope not. None. Not advantages. Did I hear you?
Yeah, do they have any advantages?
No.
Then how can you be institutionally racist?
Sorry, I might have to get back to you.
No, you don't. You've said your force was institutionally racist, yet white people
misogynist,
yet white people have no advantage at all. Yes. So how can it be racist?
Maybe I was interpreting the phrase of it as a whole, as a phrase that Nazir summed up. But I would absolutely stand by that the force was not racist. But going back to the way that it was described.
I'm sorry. You said you agreed that your force was institutionally racist. So now I'm asking you, how is it racist? What advantages do white people have in your force?
And I'm saying that there are no advantages.
So then it can't be racist. Okay, just one more question, Chair. Just try and nail this down. What group of people in your force have an unfair advantage in their employment?
I think what the independent report and our previous report identified was that we needed more safe spaces for females and others to be able to call out where they were experiencing unfortunate and bad behaviour within the workplace. We have put in some processes which will allow for that. We've got a Safe To campaign, which means that individuals can find exactly the type of assistance and practical help they need in order to address the concerns of misconduct within the workplace.
I get that, but I didn't ask that. I didn't ask that. I asked which group of people have an unfair advantage within your force.
And I'm sorry, I was just trying to say to you that I think perhaps the females and others who haven't felt that they could call out and speak out in a safe space were disadvantaged. But now we are addressing that. We're not complacent to the fact that that was a need which was identified in the independent report that was commissioned.
Again, I say this gently, and I say this hopefully constructively to my friends in the House leadership. The House leadership needs to urinate or get off the pot. The House leadership needs to indict the President of the United States, impeach him, and let us hold a trial. He won't be convicted. Or they need to go ahead and hold in contempt every single member of the Trump administration so we can move those issues into our court system and get back to doing the people's business. Now, if they decide to go to the court route, Mr. President, I would caution my friends to be very, very careful. Because once it enters the court system, it becomes a zero-sum game. One or two things are going to happen. Either the administration will win, in which case the oversight authority of the United States Congress will be undermined, or the House leadership will win, in which case no American with a brain above a single-cell organism is going to want to run for President of the United States. Because they can find out, Congress will be able to find out everything about your life, even the most intimate details, whether it is relevant to your job or not, and whether it happened when you're president or not. What I hope happens, Mr. President, is that my friends in the House leadership and the administration sit down and talk, not talk like 8-year-olds in the back of a minivan fighting, but talk constructively about how their behavior could impact important institutions in this country and work it out. And I want to thank the Attorney General for making overtures to the House leadership to try to find some common ground. Now let me talk about the Senate. We need to do more, Mr. President. I'm not saying we haven't done anything. We have confirmed some very important nominees to the Trump administration, long overdue, fine men and women. We have confirmed some very fine men and women to the federal judiciary. And they, I believe, will make this country safer. And they will make this country better. And I'm very proud of that effort. So let me say it again. I'm not saying we've done nothing. I'm saying we need to do more. There are issues where our Democratic friends and my Republican friends have more in common than we don't. We need to bring the bills to the floor of the United States Senate. Everyone has their own list, and everyone in the Senate knows what I'm talking about, whether they'll say it or not.